Right, hello, welcome back to another Hunty Zombies banger. We're back on the last day of 2025, and in today's Hunty Zombies video, I want to talk about what to expect in 2026 for this game. Will it survive and thrive, or will it become another failure of a game, like many before it? In games that's definitely dying in 2025. But anyway, before we do get into the nitty-gritty info of Hunty Zombies, consider subscribing if you're new. Press the like button down there, you know how it is. And now that I've got that out the way, let's talk about not just Operation Health. No. You know how we thought that this was gonna be the only update we get for the next week? Well, I think it's better off if I just show you. So if I was to come over here to the Hunty Zombies game page on Roblox, you can see that obviously we have the Christmas sword event here. We've got the Operation Health event on Friday, January 2nd, so a day after New Year's. And then we've got the Flow update on January 3rd, the day after. Now I was like, maybe this is just like a placeholder date, you know? But if we click into it, you can see there is a new Flow weapon. Now, I am very worried, okay, because if you look further down it says anime battle pass, a flow weapon. I only know one thing to do with flow, and it is blue lock. If we have a football weapon, I'ma lose it. I'ma be real. If I use metavision to kill all the zombies, I'm out. I'm sorry, I'm leaving this game in 2025. I was like, there's no way this is true, but then I asked in the Discord and they said nope, this date is very much confirmed. This is coming out January 3rd. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical, I'm a little bit worried, because a lot of us don't want anime weapons. I myself am very much against it, because anime weapons in my eyes is just a quick way to get money and get players in. Because the battle pass being an anime battle pass, that is a clear and obvious cash grab. And I was really hopeful for the fact they're focusing on bugs for the next week. No, they're working on a weapon in the background as well. So unless they got two separate dev teams to work on bugs and the weapon, then I think we're kind of cooked here. Now this leads me to my next point. Now, I was really hopeful for the next couple weeks, in fact for the New Year's, for this game, because I thought it could go back on the right tracks. Because if you didn't know, Caleb is completely gone from the development team. Slayer is now the owner of the game. Caleb has nothing to do with the game. He has ditched the game, he's focusing on Plague or whatever. He's not a part of Hunty Zombies anymore, which I thought was a W. But obviously, if you guys have seen Frigid's recent video, I highly recommend watching it. You know there are still a few corrupt people within the development team, which definitely need to be addressed, which is probably still going to affect the game somewhat, but Caleb leaving is definitely a step in the right direction. But the fact there is an anime update and it's coming out soon, I'm very much disappointed, because I thought they're going to focus on bugs, you know, fix the bugs, Sorcerer's Cat, you know, fix raids, because I know some people just crash when they join raids. There's so many minor bugs as well. Like, if you saw one of my previous videos, I think it was my latest Hunty Zombies video, I showed loads of screenshots of all the bugs that they know are in the game. And I don't think a week's enough time to fix the literal hundreds of bugs in the game. And with the addition that they're also making a flow weapon, which I really hope it's not some blue lock weapon, man. If it is, I'm tabbing out, okay? Because this game is not anime versus zombies, my friend. It is Hunty Zombies. What made this game good is because they just made unique creative weapons, you know, fantasy-like weapons like the Wizard, which was probably the last good weapon, with Joker, of course. But even then, they kind of helped with the power creep in the game that is ruining the game. Now, there's a lot of ways to fix this. Some may say it's impossible. I had a little bit of hope for this game. Now that hope is completely gone with this flow weapon and anime battle pass, because it is clear you do not care about this game, you care about the money it produces. Because if we see, nobody cares about this game. I'm going to bring up the stats for this game right now and prove it. If we come over to Rolymons, or whatever it's called, sounds like some Digimon Pokemon thing. You can see right now it shows the players, it shows the visits, upvotes, yada yada yada, okay? It shows it all. But if we scroll down, it shows the concurrent players for the last week, as well as new visits, new likes, like percentage, new favorites, average playtime. You get the point. But if we come over here, you can see it peaked the 25th. Obviously, there was a new update. We go back, you can see it peaked here as well. Like, just during Christmas, it peaked because obviously people were playing earlier here because the update was out for them, and it was probably in the late evening for like Americans, and then it peaked here, which was when, you know, you have your European players on. And you can see it peaked at 42,000 players. But since then, because of the quality of the update, you can see it is slowly just decreased. We went from averaging about 20,000 players, even when this game was having garbage update, to literally plummeting down to its average of 4,000 now. Also, the like percentage is just decreasing. Okay, there is hundreds of people disliking the game. Of course, there's still people liking it, but the dislikes are outweighing the likes a lot, seeing as this is going down rather than up. The average playtime, apart from on Christmas Day, where it averaged 13 minutes for literally like 10 minutes, it's just been an average of like 6 minutes. It's not being good. And I'll tell you why this is. Now, if I was to go to the weapons section of this game, and I was to scroll down, of course we have the Christmas sword, we have the blindfold, and then in my other one we have candy cane, and then Krampus claw. Two of these weapons are very much busted, okay? Krampus claw, blindfold, of course Christmas sword as well, the recent weapon they've added. But these all just completely ruins the playability of the game, because all people really do in this game now is just hop on, redeem the codes, and spin. They don't bother with raids because they know they can just one-tap them. The codes you give us just give us all the good stuff in the game. Like, there's no point in doing raids if there's no raid weapon. That was the only motive I had to do the other raids that the previous dev team did. Now, if I was to literally go in a public lobby, I will prove to you right now there's more people in the lobby than there is in the actual game itself. Like, if I was to just go in a lobby, there's nobody in raid section. It's everyone in literal spawn. If I was to go in, they're gonna be standing here spinning. I guarantee it. Yep. Look, first lobby I loaded in. You can see how many people are just in the lobby. Now, I don't know if they're just here to AFK or whatever, but these guys don't want to play the game. They're just in lobby, and all of the lobbies in Hunty Zombies are like this, okay? You have more people just in the spawn than actually playing the game. You can see this guy's literally spinning right now. Like, point proven. Nobody cares about the game in terms of actually playing the content. Payload was a good move, but the stuff within the game is just pointless. It's boring, tedious, and you barely get any rewards for doing it, which is why people don't play it. Same with Raid, you can one-tap bosses, so once you get the weapon, you may get it to level 100 mastery, but most people just try the weapon and hop off. That's what I've gathered. Now, they have also neglected things like campaign. I know they did make a map for Endless, but if you look at any of these other maps, they give you items which you can use to craft cosmetics in the crafting section of the game. Now, this has been completely neglected since this new dev team has taken over, and I really hope it changes in the future. I think this is a really good way to get on the right tracks. It kind of brings a bit more grinding to the game, you know. It makes people want to play Endless again, because in my eyes, the grind for Endless isn't as bad as the grind for Payload, because it feels like a way more chill system. You get a lot more rewards. It's not like you're grinding for thousands of coins. It's like, if we come over here, you're grinding for like 20 or 30 or so craftables, you know. It's literally nothing, okay? But you've seen all my other videos, and if you haven't, I highly recommend watching my most recent Hunty Zombies video. Definitely not plug in just for the sake of it, but I do make some very good points in there. The power creep is a massive problem with the game. People are not playing the game once they get the good weapons, because there's no point. You one-tap everything. The weapons they release aren't good in Endless or Campaign. You can use literally any weapon in Campaign, and you can use any of the most recent weapons the old dev team made. So Reaper Scythe, Wizard, Joker. I don't have Joker. I was on holiday and I came back to this clown show of a game now. But Bow is another one. Like, all of those weapons are really good in Endless, but the weapons they've released has like no range. And anyone who says these weapons are good in Endless, literally try Bow and Reaper Scythe, or Wizard for that fact, and you'll realize how much easier it is. Okay, if you get hit once by a boombox zombie, you're dead. And considering the weapon has little to no range, like no AoE, you're going to get hit eventually, so you're not going to be able to get as far as you could with Wizard, for example, or Bow. Now, I've definitely voiced my opinions, and I know for a fact if you used to reduce the stats on everything, make it less overpowered, and reduce the health for raid bosses, this game would be a lot better, and it would feel like a game worth grinding again. Now, I'm not going to go too much more in depth from there, because, again, I've made loads of videos at this point, saying what to do in this game. Moving back to what we was talking about, the battle pass. Now, right now we have the festive pass. You can see I've not completed it whatsoever because I don't play this game anymore. I hop on, do a run, and hop off because it is boring. I definitely don't see the point to grind this game because I spin for a weapon, review it, and leave. Simple as that. I don't have to grind for raids. Now, a lot of people appreciate this because they don't have to, you know, spend hours and hours. They just have to spend maybe 30 minutes in endless, buy normal spins with the coins, and get the weapon eventually. That's literally what you have to do, but I think that's where they went wrong. It's like, okay, you get people the weapon immediately, basically, and then they hop off. Some people are unlucky, but a lot of people get it within their first 5 mil of spinning. But yeah, no, I don't think this anime weapon is a good idea. Apart from the Christmas weapons, everything they have added has been a anime weapon. Blindfold and now the flow weapon, which if it is blue lock, we're locking this weapon and this game in 2025. I'm gonna be real. Now, there is a lot of games that have basically risen to the challenge of Hunty Zombies' initial peak when it was in its prime. There's a few games that have like gained a lot of popularity in the last couple weeks, which I do want to talk about. Now, the most obvious one, which you've seen on my channel, is Anime Final Quest. I think it is a brilliant game that doesn't have any overpowered weapons, and if you saw my recent video, I was talking about the most recent weapon not being a really high rarity again, because they made a legendary weapon. They didn't make a mythic, and then a mythic, and then an even more busted mythic, like Hunty Zombies is doing. They're making a busted, divine, / limited, whatever you want to call it, and then another one, and then celestial, and then another celestial. That's what they're doing. They're just making busted weapon on busted weapon, which is not what you want to do. But there's also another game that has like caught my eye recently, and it's called Dungeon Hunters. Now, you can see it has a lot of similarities to obviously Hunty Zombies. Now, I don't know who made this game, but I do know the community manager within the Discord is in the Hunty Zombies Discord. I don't know what he is to that game. I don't know if he's literally just a player of that game that was inspired by that game and made this, but it is a very neat game. Now, obviously, there's a few unpolished parts of the game, like when you attack, if you're swinging in one way and you're in shift lock, you can't look over here to swing, you'll just keep swinging that way. But apart from that, it's overall a pretty decent game. Now, I do prefer the gameplay of Anime Final Quest and Hunty Zombies, but this game has some pretty cool weapons. If you can see, I have these cool mantis blades and then some dual guns, and you can get some cool like effects on them, like they have different elements on them. If you like summon, they have a chance to have one of these elements on, poison, fire, or thunder, which I think is a really cool thing. And overall, this game's pretty cool. You can see there's a spin system, and you can get like cool weapons, and this literally changes like every 5 minutes. You can see right now there's a chance to get a floating cannon weapon, and you can get like an electric saw, magic book. There's some pretty cool features in this game. Overall, there's no weapon that does like 30,000 damage from my knowledge, so yeah, I think this is definitely a game that will be big competition for Hunty Zombies, and I feel like a lot of people who play Hunty Zombies have probably migrated to this game in Anime Final Quest, as well as a few others, because I know a lot of you play Jujutsu Zero now, which is definitely a very good game. So some people have kind of stayed to the theming that Hunty Zombies had, and some are just playing different games, which, you know, fair enough. The game is in a state that is currently unknown if it will actually make it through 2026 or if it will have good updates ever again. I'm very much worried with the anime theme they're going for. But yeah, this game is very similar. Of course, you have like summons where you can roll for weapons. You have the play section. You have an AFK section. There's like a tower mode, which looks pretty cool. A gauntlet mode. You got quests. You've got traits over here. You can enhance your equipment, and you can also upgrade them over here, which is pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Like, there's quests, which you can get gems, which then you can summon. And they give quite a few codes, which is also pretty cool. And they're not like completely busted codes, like that code that Hunty Zombies released for like 2 hours where you got like 500 spins. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of cool weapons. Like, I do really like the models on them. They're quite unique looking. Look at them. But I do prefer the quality of Hunty Zombies, which is why I really hope it's back to its glory days, man. Now, of course, I've talked a lot about some of the things this game has done wrong or what I don't agree with, but there is a few positives. Now, if you look at the top right, they have literally just done an admin abuse, and if you know anything about the previous dev team, they used to do admin abuses every now and then throughout the week. There'd be like once a week, and then of course you get one on the update day. But they completely stopped doing that. There has been no admin abuse in ages. When it comes to just waiting for the update, there's been no admin abuses throughout the week. But there is one. Obviously, this is probably because it's New Year's, but it also may be because Slayer is now in charge, and he probably, you know, reinstated or whatever because Caleb got the boot. But anyways, that is the positive. Obviously, I still do have a tiny bit of hope for this game, even if it is tiny ember that is slowly going out. But I still have a lot of hope for this game. Of course, I don't agree with anime weapons. I think it is a quick cash grab, hence the battle pass being anime themed. And I think it is just them to get hype and a lot of players in, because, you know, anime on Roblox is very popular. So if a child sees anime weapon on Hunty Zombies, they're probably gonna click it. But again, I don't think that will be healthy for this game in the long run, because this game was known for its creativity and unique weapons. Of course, they took inspiration from anime, but they didn't completely take that weapon from a different IP. They kind of done their own twist on it. But I am really worried about this flow update, of course, because I thought it was just gonna be them focusing on bugs, but hopefully, you know, they fix a lot of the bugs. I don't know how long it takes, but I feel like a week is too short, but I'm not a developer, so don't quote me on that. So, to answer your guys' question, will this game survive 2026? If I'm being completely honest, it's taken a few good steps in the right direction, of course, but I don't think it's fully fixed. Of course, I think, me personally, you would have to change quite a few of the dev members, because there is still a lot of corrupt people within that team, and you have to start listening to the community a lot more. You know, don't just make the suggestions page and call it a day there. Actually go into it and look into it, you know. But yeah, no, overall, I think there is a tiny glimpse of hope for this game, and I think games like Anime Final Quest, games like Dungeon Hunters are obviously very similar to this game in a lot of aspects, but they have a lot of unique things as well, like Anime Final Quest listening to its community, and Dungeons Hunter having quite a few unique things to do within the game, like the tower mode they have, which looks pretty unique. Now, I think Hunty Zombies should see this as good competition, and I hope this will push them to make better updates, more creative updates, unique updates that make them stick out a lot more and bring it back to its peak, which can still happen, who knows, with Slayer in charge. Well, that being said, let me know down in the comments what you think. Will this game survive 2026, or will it be left in the dust within games in 2025? I'm kidding, in games. You're catching strays for no reason. But if you did enjoy the video, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like the video, and I'll catch you guys next year. Have a good one.